reproductive system for male and female? Please feel free to ask questions. I don't know the answer to everything, but I'll do my best to answer. Okay? Really, just ask. My GH students are very excited one. Just ask non-stop. Really ask non-stop until my lesson right now too slow. Yeah, so make sure if you have any questions, feel free to stop me. For those that have managed to download the anatomy, this is what you can do. Bottom right hand corner, you see 3 bars. You click on that. Right, and then you'll see something called anatomy tree. You click on anatomy tree, you'll see all the layers of the body. You can peel off layer by layer. Okay? For example, I'm going to peel off the muscular system. Watch what happens. Plop. Okay? Right? So feel free to peel off layer by layer. I would like you to leave behind. Okay, leave behind the urinary and reproductive system. Okay, you can peel everything away. That's a layer of fat covering your spine. No protection, you know. Oh my God, I mean, okay. What you'll be left with is something that looks like a slug. Maybe a slug. What? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to remove the layers. Watch what happens. Okay, for those that have problem loading, I'm going to start removing the layers with this. Yeah. I'm going to next remove connective tissue. Okay, let's remove the cardiovascular system, normal blood vessels. We remove the digestive system. Remove the endocrine, nervous system, the skeletal system, the respiratory system. And this is what we're left with. Okay, what you say look like face? Where is the face? Oh, it looks like rat's face. Wow, shucks, sometimes I cannot see. Okay. Alright, this is the male reproductive system. I've asked you to leave behind the urinary system as well as the reproductive system to show you that they are highly connected. Okay? Alright, so I'm just going to give an overview before we really talk about how sperms and eggs are formed. Feel free to stop me at any point. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Any question? Okay, maybe not any question.
Okay, we get it.
I'll think about it first, then I'll reply. Okay, first and foremost, what are these?
Kidneys.
Our kidneys, right? Where are they? Okay, so they are somewhere. I know what you're doing, it's not here. Remember, okay, it's behind. Okay? So it's behind over here. Okay? What are the tubes coming out of the kidney called? Great, huh? One class I meant to say uterus. Urethra, okay? Urethra. What's the difference between urethra and urethra?
Urethra carries it to the bladder.
Yeah, the what? Say it.
In the
What? In the penis? Okay. I mean, you also find urethra in female. So urethra, just think it simply as the tube through which the urine will come out from. Okay, so let's find out these parts first. The kidneys connected to 2 ureters. Where should the ureters connect to?
The bladder.
The bladder, right? That's where urine is stored. So let's see if that's true. Yeah, okay. So it's connected to the bladder at the side. What? Bladder look like what? Looks like, wow, your rocks. Okay, so you see the urethra connected to the bladder. Okay, let's find the urethra. We need to know how urine can exit the bladder, right? Okay, so let's find the urethra. For those with the model, you can zoom in a bit more. Can you see at the bottom of the bladder tube? I'm going to remove this particular organ here. This peach-looking thing. Okay, it's a prostate. Okay, where if I was? Okay, prostate. I'm going to hide this. Bye-bye. Right. Here you can see the urethra connecting to the bladder. So that's where urine will pass out the bladder from. But that's not the end. So the urethra goes down to this long organ. I'm choosing my words properly, okay? Okay, so the urethra goes down, right? Okay, so let's see where the urethra goes. It continues on, Yeah, I'm going to remove this. Yes, this one say look like a slug, right? You see like this part like a full eye. Okay, I'm going to remove this part up. What I'm about to remove, there's a spongy tissue. You see what's left underneath? Okay, can you see the urethra continuing on? Okay, it continues on and on and on and out of the body. Okay, so that's where the urethra leads to. It branches out from the bladder, then it goes through the penis and out of the male body. Okay, so now we know. Okay, that is the urinary system. Now let's see how it connects to the reproductive system. Okay, so first and foremost, here we have two round and an oval looking thing. What? Okay, what you said? Okay, it's called testicles. Do they look like balls? Maybe a rugby ball, but okay, so testicles, why they have so much what? Nerves. Why do you think they have so much nerves? What are nerves for? To feel, right? Okay, so okay, perhaps I must say is to help you sense the environment so you can regulate temperature well. Make sense? Possible? Yeah? Okay, if that's so important, right? I mean, if the testicles are important, you want nerves there to make sure that it is not harmed in any way, right? So, any question? Okay, let me put the penis back. Okay. Alright, let's look at the. Okay, don't laugh too much. Everybody walk past, you look at the screen and still laughing. You don't know what's happening. Okay, so two testicles. Do you remember what these are called from the age group? Okay, what are these two things called? Okay, epididymis. Okay, anyone recall what's the function of these two sac-like things outside? Okay, it is maturation as well as storage of sperms. So sperms are formed within the testicles. They will then be all stored in here for a short while before they are ejected out via this long tube called the it's called a vas deferens. Okay, so vas deferens, where does the vas deferens connect to? Okay, I'm going to draw your attention now. It connects to, look how it loops behind the urethra. It kind of loops behind the urethra, and then at the back, it connects to, I'm going to remove the prostate gland. It then connects to the urethra. Okay, so the vas deferens loops behind the urethra, connects to the urethra. That also means to say that for males, the sperm and urine takes the same path out. Make sense? Right? From the urethra. That's a good question, right? Okay, see, this is the urethra branching out from the bladder, and we have the vas deferens connecting to it. That means to say urine from the bladder can come out. Sperms can also come out through the same path. We have a problem here, don't we? Imagine. Okay, no, I'm choosing one of the contexts. Okay, right? Males don't want to be during peeing, right? Sperm also come out. Or the opposite, when during copulation, urine come out, right? It's just weird. But not too weird, you will kill off the sperms, right? Urine is slightly acidic. The sperms, right, when they touch urine, you will die. So how do you think the body is able to regulate the passage? It's the same route out of the penis. A flap, okay? That's one way to think of it. Could there be a flap? Could there be a flap? Yes.
Could it be regulated by hormones?
Could it be regulated by hormones? That's a great question. Okay, let's go by these two trains of thought. Hormone versus a flap. Okay? Who thinks they will go by hormone? Hormone regulation. Who thinks by flap regulation? Who thinks by flap? Why do you think it's hormone regulation?
I'm not too sure, but then it's like if you're there's this like peeing is just normal, but it's just some hormonal thing going on, then your thing won't want to pee already.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're saying like when it comes to like maybe the male is aroused, there's hormone involved. Okay, possible, right? Okay, that's interesting train of thought. Do you know why you talk about flaps? Oh, you asked somebody before, and then who said what? There's a flap. Okay, but what is this flap? Okay, more so actually it's just muscles. Okay, at the base of the bladder, there are sphincter muscles. They can help to control that. Okay, when you don't want urine to come out, then that sphincter muscle at the base of the bladder just constricts us so urine doesn't come out. Okay, so it's a matter of constricting and relaxing so that both doesn't come out at the same time. Yeah. Definitely nerves are involved because guess what? To get sperms from the epididymis through the vas deferens out, actually our vas deferens also is muscular in nature. So it can help to carry out peristalsis and bring the sperms out. Okay? Yeah, so nerves are involved to trigger all this. Next, now we know how sperms and urine exit the penis, right? Same pathway. Now let's look at some accessory organs. Accessory glands. First and foremost, you'll find these two brain-looking things. Okay? These are what we call the seminal vesicles. The thing I removed earlier on is called the prostate gland. You heard of prostate cancer? Yeah? A lot of men get prostate cancer, so this is where the cancer will take place. And you can imagine when we talk about cancers, we're talking about tumors. So if tumors form in this area, it can start to block off the urethra. Yeah, because it's surrounding the urethra. And so actually one of the symptoms is that peeing gets really difficult to happen. Okay, so seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and then there are two more really tiny glands. Okay, in your textbook they say the Cowper's gland. Or the bulbourethral gland. Okay, if you flip to the subsequent pages. Okay, I'm going to show you where the bulbourethral gland is, or maybe you can spot it from here. They're really tiny. Yeah, look like two little beads. Okay, so this is where the bulbourethral glands are. Can you see them over here? Okay, that's the bulbourethral gland. Don't need you to know exactly what all of them do, but broadly, all three of them work together to produce things like mucus for lubrication, nutrients to keep the sperms alive outside the body, alkaline chemicals to neutralize the acidic environment inside the penis. Right, so broadly we'll do. But understand that semen is not just sperm. Semen do not have sperm and just contain this liquid. Yeah? Okay, so now let's get to we're done with most of the parts. Okay, now let's the long part. Okay, so the penis. Okay. I mean, for copulation to occur, the penis will need to go get erect. Not hard, get erect. Okay? How does it get erect? Okay, it needs to get aroused first, right? But then how does it stay? Blood flow? Blood flow? I don't know about you, are you sitting at maybe there are muscles, right? And like hold it up. Actually there's no muscle there. Yeah? The penis has no muscle, just purely spongy tissue that can be filled up with blood. It's kind of like you take a balloon then after that it stays there. But if you let the air go, it will go back down. So So it's just purely held up by blood pressure, no muscle involved. Did I tell you a story before when 2 years ago when I taught this, there was one boy and girl at the back of the corner arguing with each other. I tell you the story. So they were arguing. Then finally the girl raised her hand. Mr. Tan, does the penis have a bone or not? Yeah, then after that, then the boy was like, I was like, no there isn't. Then the boy was like, see, I told you. Then after that the girl was like, then why erection, why is it also called a bone? Then I was like, okay, so it's not true. I don't know where that term came about, but the male human penis doesn't come with a bone. However, there are animals that come with a bone, penis bone. For example, gorillas have penis bone. If I'm not wrong, dogs also have penis bone. I want to speculate why. Right? How come some animals will retain this bone structure within the penis, whereas the humankind, this is like flaccid until it's needed, then it's inflated. Not inflated, but yeah. I want to speculate why some animals require a bone and humans don't need to. Same function, right? What's the benefit of having a bone? Okay, perhaps the animals in the wild move around a lot, so you need to keep it tough. So if anyone will whack it, right, you'll still keep it shape. Perhaps. No, we don't really know yet. Yeah. Okay, so a lot you can speculate. Any other possible reason? Benefit of having a bone. Easier to. Okay. Perhaps it's easier. In a sense, yeah. In a sense, because it's just a solid bone, it's kind of easier. From studies that have been done, research, when we analyze the reproductive and sexual patterns of animals, what they did find out was that animals that kind of have a one-to-one long-term partner tend to not have the penis bone. But animals that only get to meet a mate of the opposite gender for a very short period of time tend to have a penis bone. So perhaps its function is to allow, save time. No? Can you imagine if you need time to, okay, give me a while, right? Versus just immediately, it's already present, right? It's faster. So I think scientists at the moment they're speculating it has to do with time. It's faster, you can get it, population can occur much faster. Okay. Guess what? The shape of this penis, right, is it differs from animal to animal. When you go Google and look it up, right, it's crazy, right? Animal kingdom. Okay, it's not that I was doing it for fun, but okay, it's like for research. I found out that a duck penis, a duck penis is corkscrew shaped. Yeah, and then it doesn't come with a bone, so in order to, it's kind of kept within itself. When needed, those party thing where you, when needed, it's inflated and then it will shoot up. Really long. Then the female, the vagina of the female duck is also corkscrew but anti-clockwise. Yeah. I don't know how it happens. Yeah, but I think the logic of this is that you want to make it as tough as possible for it to happen. A cat's penis, the tip, right, is spiky, right? It's barbed. Just so that it can stay within the female cat for a longer period of time. So, in the animal kingdom, it's a wacky world. You don't quite expect what you expect. In fact, in the animal kingdom, a lot of times the penis is kept within itself until needed, then it is shown. Right? Yeah. Yes? Testicles are. Oh, why are the testicles? Okay, why are testicles kept inside the body? Oh yeah, it's too hot. Okay, so it's often outside, carried in the scrotum. Scrotum is a plastic bag, right? For those who don't know, it keeps the testicles inside. So every time you see this, right, I think some people go away with the impression that literally this is what you see. And the testicles and epididymis is there laid out. but it's not. There's actually a layer of skin to protect and carry all this. It is kept outside the body just so that we keep the temperature at the ideal temperature. So actually, taking hot showers, wearing very tight underwear does affect fertility because you're just bringing the temperature higher and bringing the testicles close to the body. So boys, it's best to wear boxers. Or no underwear at all. Yeah. Okay, so broadly this is the male reproductive system. The part that is of interest to us is the testicles. We're going to talk about how sperms are formed in there. Now let's go to the female reproductive system. If I'm not wrong, your textbook may give you an impression. Your textbook may give you an impression that the vas deferens is connected to the bladder. Okay, on page 30 of the textbook, the vas deferens looks like it's plugged into the bladder, but it doesn't quite make sense. Imagine all the sperms make their way from the testicles, vas deferens, then all fall in a swimming pool of urine. They all die. Okay, so it does not connect to the bladder. It connects below where the urethra is. Okay, so just take note. Okay, so let's look at the female reproductive system. I think the female reproductive system is a little harder to visualize. Whatever is provided in your textbook, okay, they show you the front and side view. Okay, let's try to make sense of all this now. We're going to remove the layers one by one. Okay, let's remove the muscular layer, the connective tissue, digestive system, endocrine, nervous, cardiovascular, respiratory, skeletal, and I'll leave it with the reproductive and urinary system. Okay, I'm not going to focus on the top, I'm going to focus on the bottom. Okay, they often consider the top part as the reproductive system because during birth, that's what feeds the little babies. Alright, so you will stay focused on the bottom. Here again, I show you the kidneys and the urethra. Urethra should connect to the bladder, right? Okay, so let's see if that's the same thing in females. Okay, the same thing, huh? Oh, okay. Good thing I share. What happened there? I didn't get rid of that.
There was a certain part I couldn't get rid of.
Okay.
It was just that,
Alright, okay, so the urethra connected to the bladder, yeah? Same thing. Okay. Now let's find the urethra. Can you see the urethra of the female? What's the difference between the urethra of female and the male? Okay, coverage part the length. Indeed, it's much shorter. Okay, look, this is the urethra. That's it. Yeah? But the male urethra, remember, it goes like that. And then, okay, urethra much longer. Females, there's a much higher chance of females to get this thing called urinary tract infection. Okay, urinary tract infection happens when bacterial goes up the urethra, goes to the bladder, may even go up the urethra, go up to the kidneys. Right, that's what urinary tract infection is. But for the males, the bacteria goes up halfway, then he pees, and then it gets flushed out again. But for females, because this tract is so short, much higher chance of it happening. One way to prevent that is to just make sure you always drink a lot of water. Right? Because the more water you drink regularly, then you will flush out with your urine all the bacteria. But the less you drink, the more you hold urine in, actually a higher chance of getting urinary tract infection, or what people call UTI. Okay, so that's the first thing. So understand, females have one opening for urine to come out. Okay. This is the same opening that the babies come out from. That'll be nasty, right? You look at this urethra so thin, right, and small. The baby coming out of that is crazy. But if a baby didn't come out of this, it implies that the baby was developing where? And the bladder, it doesn't quite make sense. So let's try and find out where we will find a baby. Here. Okay. Can you see this structure over here? Okay, so females come with 2 ovaries. Notice that the ovaries are connected to the outer wall of the uterus via ligament. See this ligament over here? I used to think that ovaries are free floating, you know, like just floating around in that vicinity. I also used to think that the ovaries were connected to the fallopian tube, but they're not. Right? They're actually connected via ligaments to the outer walls of the uterus over here. And guess what? The fallopian tube is a little bit like vacuum cleaners. It can actually move around the ovary. Where the egg is about to emerge, it will move to the area and then kind of like suck it in. Okay? Yeah. So fallopian tube can move around the ovary. The fallopian tube is not what's holding the ovary in place. Yeah. I used to think that this is a fallopian tube, right? I used to think that the fallopian tube holds the ovary, but it's not. The ovary is held to the position by a ligament. This fallopian tube can actually move around the ovary to the location where the egg is about to emerge. This giant thing here is the uterus. That's where the baby will develop, what we call the womb. Where is what is this long tube called? You see this long tube? Sorry? The cervix? Okay, so actually the cervix is not a tube, it's just a muscular ring. That tube over there is the vagina. Okay? Yeah? Okay, so I just think that the vagina is a hole. It's not. It is a tube, a long cavity, and this is where the penis will be like. Okay? Okay, so this is the vagina. I'm going to remove the vagina so you can see the cervix. Okay? So I'm going to remove it. I'll try to put it up. Can you see at the base of the uterus? Okay? This is the cervix. Okay? There's actually one wall of muscle beneath the uterus called the cervix. You see this small little hole over here? It's blocked by the screen. If you see this small little hole, yeah, that opening. Okay, so actually, why do you think there is a need for a cervix? I mean, you could not have a cervix, right? You think about it. Wouldn't it be easier for sperms to get to the eggs if there's no cervix? With this barrier here, with the only tiny hole there, it's much harder for sperms to go in. Make sure what thing doesn't damage. Okay, I'm going to say so that maybe the penis doesn't damage the uterus. I don't know, I never thought of it that way. Interesting train of thought. Perhaps. Fair enough, right? If we want sperms to get in, technically we shouldn't even have a cervix. It should be removed so that we can directly access the uterus. Right? Right, don't you want direct access? Sorry? Okay, perhaps you don't want too many sperms to go in. So actually, the cervix does serve as one barrier to restrict the entry of sperms. It's not always open. Sometimes it's open to let sperms in, sometimes it's not. There's one more purpose of the cervix. Hold the baby inside. Can you imagine the womb or the uterus without the cervix? Once the baby gets to a significant size, right, it will slip out. Right? But that's not what we want. So that's what the cervix is for. And the cervix during labor, childbirth, the cervix will start to expand, and that hole that you saw will widen and widen and widen to allow the baby to come out. Okay? And again, this hole will relax and widen so the baby can come out. Right. Okay, so widening that causes the pain. It's more because after widening, the opening is not wide enough, and as the baby comes out, there's a little bit of tearing So that's where the pain is coming from. Okay, I heard that anesthetic helps, but doesn't remove all the pain. Oh, anesthetic and remove the cervix. Okay, you could remove the cervix, but you think about it. What if this person wants to go through another round of pregnancy, right? So the cervix is important. Yes. Cramps are okay. So what are the cause of cramps? The uterus is a it's made out of a lot of muscle. In the uterus over here. Okay, you know what's inside the uterus? At the inner wall of the uterus, there is a layer called the endometrium that builds up with blood vessels, right? In preparation for, let's say, there's fertilization that takes place, the egg will implant on the inner wall of the uterus, and then it will start to grow into a baby. But fertilization usually doesn't take place, and so menstruation occurs, right? But imagine for menstruation to occur, to get all these blood vessels out of the body, in a sense you're trying to shave off the layer of blood vessels. And so one way your body does it is by this layer of muscles here contracting a lot to kind of remove that layer of blood vessels. And so that's where period cramps come from. A lot of muscular contraction, kind of the same ones that are trying to get baby up, but now you're trying to remove the endometrium layer. You know, like humankind is one of the very few species that actually carry out menstruation. A lot of animals just reabsorb the endometrium layer. So, no pain, no nothing. Okay, so males have one opening for sperm and urine. Females, she have two openings. One opening is for urine. Behind that opening is for baby to come out. That's also where blood will come out during menstruation. And both male and female will have one more opening behind. That's the anus where shit comes out. Yeah, I was very bad. I actually thought I came out from from the asshole. But he as a little kid, right? I don't know where I'm coming out from. So I thought, I go to the toilet and poop, right? So I thought that's the most logical place. Okay, but that one doesn't even make sense. That means I developed in the rectum area, large intestine. Okay, so females, there are three openings. Males, two openings. Okay, so we come to the end of the introduction. So you know where's everything. I'll take some questions before we move on. No questions? Okay, great. Okay, the next one we're going to do, we're going to talk about how sperms and eggs form. Okay, sperms and eggs. As I said, this part is rather dry. So, okay, this part is rather dry. So I'd rather that you learn by yourself, and then you can spend in class time talking about the process instead. Okay, now I'd like you to use your phone or your iPad to access SLS. Okay, everyone log into SLS. By now you will see a lesson called Gametogenesis in class. Okay, you will see Gametogenesis in class. The first part of this, I would like all of you to access this. Okay, I've just started the assignment. I'd like you to enter. Okay, once you've entered, I'd like you to try individually by yourself a series of questions. Okay, I thank you all. I did a check. All of you did watch the videos and try the questions. Okay, so we'll use in class time to discuss about the process. Okay, I'll let you try individually. The second part, you will work with your friends. You just try by yourself without referring. Right, see how much you retain. Then later on, you can work as a team to discuss. Okay, then we'll do a short discussion on the two processes. Are done. The next stage is you may find a peer, a partner, and you can attempt the same quiz together, but this time the answer will be shown one by one. Okay, then see if you can get as much as possible as a pair. Okay, the second round is with a friend. Yeah, same questions, but the second round I'd like you to work with a friend. You can discuss. This time the answers will show question by question. For the team one, please work with someone. Alright? Spend the time discussing. This time that you will see the answer one by one as you discuss with your friends. answer questions one by one. Yeah, you both submit together. Okay. Now I would like to take questions from the floor on how sperms and eggs are formed. Okay, you've done your part of the learning. Okay, now I'll do my part. Okay. I would like to take questions that you thought are clear for the development of the sperms and the eggs. It's supposed to be hands on your groups. If you have any question you'd like to raise, right? After learning yourself, after doing 3 rounds of questions, do you have any questions you'd like to clarify before you go on? Yes. Say again. Okay, let's look at question 14. Okay, question 14. Which process describes what will result in genetic variation to form a sperm and egg? First one, breaking and rejoining of sister chromatids of homologous chromosomes during prophase 1 meiosis. What would that look like? I have homologous chromosomes. Then they say breaking and rejoining of sister chromatids. These are sister chromatids. So if they break and rejoin, right, they break and rejoin with each other. Remember? The thing we want to break and rejoin is between non-sister chromatids. Okay, so first statement is wrong in that sense. Second, random assortment of homologous chromosomes during anaphase 1 of meiosis. The random assortment occurs at metaphase, not at anaphase when they are already being pulled apart. Okay, so this one is only the anaphase part that's wrong, supposed to be metaphase. Last one, fertilization of random gametes from a male and female. This process doesn't help in producing sperms and eggs. It is the after sperms and eggs are formed. So actually nothing is correct here. Okay? Alright, questions about spermatogenesis and oogenesis? No questions, Cannot be my video teaching is good. No questions at all. Okay, then I ask you now. Which process occurs first? Mitosis. Then what occurs after? Okay, then here mitosis again. Okay, so when does spermatogenesis occur and when does oogenesis occur? When do we draw the line? Okay, so I'll make it clear. So when you were but a little tadpole embryo, okay, you had cells called primordial germ cells, PGC. These cells are the precursor of the male or female version that will develop later on. Okay? In your textbook or in my videos, they will say that these primordial germ cells can either become spermatogonia or oogonia. Right? I hear some people pronounce it as oogonia. Right? Up to you how you pronounce it. Right? So it can either go this way or that way. That determines whether you are going to become male or female. That's not spermatogenesis or oogenesis yet. I would consider spermatogenesis from this point onwards. Oogenesis from this point onwards. Where it goes through one round, mitosis, and then another round, later you go through meiosis and meiosis. Okay, it's this point onwards that we consider the oogenesis and spermatogenesis. For males, this process, this blue portion onwards, only takes place when the boy goes through puberty. That means he'll go through 12 years of his life, right? With all the possible spermatogonia in his testicles. Right? Then at 12 years old, then after that it starts producing. Right? It starts going through mitosis and meiosis to produce sperms. For females, however, what's interesting is that the oogonia will begin mitosis even before the girl is born. Yeah? Even before the girl is born, which is one of the questions that was brought up. Okay? I think, therefore, one last thing would be, if I ask you to compare spermatogenesis and oogenesis, oogenesis is one thing very unique, is that it doesn't run to completion. It stops twice, right? We call that arrest. What are the 2 points in which oogenesis will be arrested or stopped? Okay, so there's a prophase 1 of meiosis 1, and then another round at metaphase 2 of meiosis 2. Actually, I'm a bit silly. Metaphase 2 means it's meiosis 2. Okay, so actually, oogenesis doesn't complete. It stops twice. Why would it stop? What's the point of stopping? So don't waste eggs? Actually, that's interesting. No, I don't have an answer. I'm just asking so you can think about it. Hey, perhaps it's not to waste eggs. Maybe if we do it, if we regulate, then we don't give up all the eggs at once. See, that's interesting. Maybe? Anything else? Freezer? Maybe it's for double checking. After all, the female can only produce 1 egg per month, right? So you gotta make sure that this egg is not faulty. The sperms, you just produce 3 billion each time around, right? You got errors here and there, it's like, it's okay, right? At least some of them are. What question? Yes?
Why does the process for Pneumonia start before birth?
Oh, why does it start before birth? That's a good question. I have no idea. Perhaps we could speculate, why would females want their eggs to be slightly developed before birth? Whereas males only at puberty. Okay, Ayman says perhaps it has to do with time. Maybe to develop an egg fully takes a lot more time. So maybe let's pre-develop a lot of them first. In fact, all of them. All females have all possible eggs they can ever produce already pre-developed. Every month, some of them will then go through and complete the process, produce a mature egg. Yeah? So perhaps it has to do with time that we pre-develop some because it just takes much longer to produce compared to some. Yes?
Also, is it the gender that determines Homogonia and Ujogonia, or is it those that determines the gender?
It will be the chromosomes, XY. Female is, I can't remember. Female is XX, male XY. The chromosomes will determine this point over here, this juncture, whether you go this way or go this way. Yeah? Yeah?
In the video, you said that the first polar body can either go through a vein or
Yeah.
not. Why? Like, why is either or?
Or it's either, they are not necessary at all. So actually, they can disintegrate and die off. But sometimes it just by chance is stated that it didn't get disintegrated. Then it may go through one more round. They're not very important. Yes? Oh? Oh, okay. So Ayman says, is there a ways that rather than produce 2 secondary oocytes that are same size, you produce one that's complete size and then one tiny one, right? Is there a ways? You can instead produce 2 and from that 2 produce 4 oocytes, right? Okay. It is a waste, but not really. What's happening here is that rather than split the resources into 2, we concentrate it into 1. We keep concentrating resources into one egg. The other one we just left over is just left over a little bit of cytoplasm, little bit of cell membrane. So I think what they're doing here is that we're trying to retain all the nutrients into one cell each time. Yes, but it still has to go into 2 so that you can carry out all the processes to make it happen. But we want to retain the resources. Interesting question. Okay. Don't be shy. I honestly cannot tell until I look at it, your responses, whether you understood. Okay, then maybe the last challenge. The last challenge asks you to draw a cell. Right? And metaphase 2, what would that cell look like? Okay, you don't have to draw it in SLS, but perhaps discuss with your friends. Yeah, I'll show you the diagram. Scientists were able to isolate this oocyte and found a pair of homologous chromosomes with 3 gene loci or locations undergoing crossing over at that particular point. Supposing this same oocyte is allowed to continue on with oogenesis, draw what the secondary oocyte will look like within the ovary with only this pair of homologous chromosomes. Okay, so I'll pre-draw this circle over here. How would these 2 chromosomes metaphase 2. Okay, how will these two chromosomes be arranged in metaphase 2? It is the last thing we'll do before we end. Okay? And will they still look like the original chromosomes? Okay, so that's the question, huh? Alright, let's see the wheel. Okay, how will you draw the same two chromosomes during metaphase 2? Okay, the chromosomes are here. Okay, here. Here. This is during prophase 1. So what will it look like metaphase 2? Genotype all these, it's just the location. They are genes. Chiasma. Chiasma is when they cross over. Yes. Sorry? The question is, what would a secondary oocyte at metaphase 2 look like? And you can only use these two homologous chromosomes to depict. Okay? So what would this cell look like at metaphase 2 or meiosis using these two chromosomes? Yes?
How are twins formed?
Oh, how are twins formed? There are two ways. We always say, each ovary releases one egg at a time. But some women release 2 eggs, both ovaries at one time. Then both get fertilized, they get 2 babies. But that's non-identical twins. There are identical twins where one egg is released, one sperm fertilizes, becomes a zygote, and that zygote, before it starts developing into a baby, splits into 2 via mitosis. Then each being goes on to develop into a baby. So they become identical in that sense. Yeah? Identical twins are nature's way of showing us what genetically identical people look like. Okay, so what will meiosis 2 look like? Ready? You can bring up a partner, or you can spin the wheel one more time. Okay, Maria, do you want to spin the wheel? Or do you want to pick a friend? Or do you want to do it yourself? Okay, all the best. Come. Give another round of applause. Okay, these are the chromosomes. These are the homologous chromosomes at prophase 1. What will it look like at metaphase 2? Just show these two chromosomes where they will be at meiosis 2. Metaphase 2 of meiosis.
Two cells.
Okay, so there's a little bit of confusion. To see you're trying to work it out in your mind. So if we started off with the chromosomes like that, right? Then this is a meta, this would be a prophase 1, right? Okay, and maybe prophase 1, they are somewhere over here. Okay, metaphase 1, they will have a line like that. Anaphase 1, these two homologous chromosomes will have starter phase. By telophase 1, cytokinesis 1, you will have gotten two cells separate like that. Yeah? So when you go into prophase 1, actually it's still like that. Metaphase 1, you will find the chromosomes in the middle. If I had more chromosomes, then you will find them all in one single part. If I didn't, all I gave you was 2. So this was a trick question, yeah? It's just like that. Just one chromosome. Okay? Okay, if you have any questions for spermatogenesis and oogenesis, in the SLS, there will have been a segment on burning questions. Okay, if you fill in the burning question segment, I'll reply to you. Okay? Alright, or I'll take the burning questions and I'll bring it to class and burn it up. Alright? So put up the fires. Okay? Now, thank you. That will be all for today.